On this episode of THM, we're going to be replacing the wheel bearings on this wheel. And you're going to want to see this one because I'm going to open up the brand new bearing and it's actually quite shocking what you find inside. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. Let's get rid of this drum. So in one of the original videos, I had noted that there is no pad or no material left on this shoe. And as you can tell, it's starting to go metal on metal. And I keep forgetting to order some, but I can tell you 100% that they're no longer available from Yamaha. So I'll have to try and find an aftermarket company that carries them. We're going to remove that cotter pin and right away dispose of it because I never ever reuse a cotter pin. Then we're going to zip this off. And this is a 22mm socket. And right here we can see the amount of play we got in that bearing, up and down, and even side to side. And let's go ahead and push the axle in. As far as it goes anyways. And that's about it there. And then hopefully you'll be able to remove the hub. There you go. As you can see, the axle is all the way in. Now it's just a matter of working the hub out. And it's coming nice and slow, but it's coming. Just like that. Next, we're going to remove the cotter pins on these two bolts for the upper and lower ball joint. We're going to throw those away. And then we're going to remove the bolts, pop the ball joints out, and then hopefully we'll just be able to remove the wheel bearings without having to disconnect the brake line. And then using an oversized hammer, push out the bolt. And luckily that came out quite nicely, because sometimes these are really jammed up. And now with any luck we should just be able to pop the ball joints just like that. And what about the top one here? So that's a little trick if you don't have a ball joint splitter. If you hit it right there in the sweet spot, even on cars, they like to come out. So this is our wheel hub assembly. And which way is our bearing going to want to come out? So after cleaning it up to try and determine which side the bearing is going to come out, check this out. The seal is like cooked. I mean, I haven't seen too many bearings do that before, but also listen to it. Like, it's super dry. And unfortunately it's been done before because these blue seals normally indicate aftermarket. So anyways, I'm going to show you a little trick that I like to do when installing these types of wheel bearings. Try and maximize the life out of them. Ta-da! So there you have it. There are two bearings, and we've got our spacer in between. let's clean this up and we'll clean up the hub. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by trying to add some longevity to these bearings. So clearly these are still sealed in a package, and I want to see what you guys are going to say in the comment section, because I'm sure I'm going to get some flack for what I'm about to do. But this is what I've been doing for many years. I do it on my snowmobile idler wheels and all that other stuff. It's been my experience that if you pop one of these bearings open, there is very, very little grease inside this bearing. And I think that's one of the reasons why on the opposite one, where is it? I threw it out. But as you guys remember, the seal, the rubber actually started to cook. So if you gently take the seal out from the inside, usually works best from the inside. Race. And you don't want to pop the seal here. You don't want to make sure that you're not going to damage the seal when you're doing this. Take your time. They pop out pretty easily. There you go. And there is next to no grease in here. I mean, check it out for yourselves, guys. What do you think? So what I like to do is I like to add my own grease. So there's two ways of doing this. Now, the way I was taught in school was to take a clump of grease, put it in the palm of your hand, and then you basically would scoop it until the grease was to start coming out the other side. And that's what I'm going to do here as well. Now, some guys would like to use, they'll use the bearing greasers. You know, you put them into like a machine or whatever. It's got cones. You pop the grease in and it forces it in. That's fine. Whatever way you feel comfortable doing is better, in my opinion, than what you see here. I know some guys will say, well, maybe too much grease will cause issues as well. 100%. I agree with that 100%, which is why as soon as you start seeing grease come out this side, if you're greasing it from the other side, that's enough. Now, this bearing isn't a conical bearing, so it doesn't have a face. And what I mean by that is if you were to look at a bearing and the gaps are different from one side to the other, the one that has the most balls showing would be your face. So you would want to push it in that way, and then as soon as it comes out the back, you're done. This is how I used to pack aircraft bearings in aircraft, and this is how I'm going to pack the bearings in my Yamaha Big Bear. So I'll show you how I do it. Right, so you've got your two seals removed on either side, your radius seals, and then you've got your grease. So I'm using just a wheel bearing grease, and it's an NLGI number 1. It is a little bit thinner than a number 2, but this is what I like to use because as you can tell, the stuff in here is pretty thin already. So we're not going to be adding as much as you think. And over greasing a bearing, is it possible? Like I was saying earlier, yes it is. But yes and no, because if there is too much grease in a bearing, it's simply just going to pop the seal, and then it'll usually ooze out the seal, most likely where you've probably popped it in the first place. But that's not always a bad thing either, because if there's grease coming out, you can't have debris coming in. And debris is probably number 1 cause of bearing failure, in my opinion, right? And of course, this is all my opinion. It'll be very interesting to read the comments, like I said, because everyone out there has their own maintenance methods. And you should probably wear a glove for this, but my hands are so dirty as it is, I'm not going to sweat it. So I'm going to just grab the bearing. I'm sure you guys have seen this a gazillion times somewhere on Facebook. And I'm just going to keep pushing in some of the grease until it starts to come out like that. All the way around. I'm going to do both of these bearings like that. And I'm going to pop the seals right back in place. Work the grease around. And there you have it. So I have a little bit more grease than I wanted there, and so I'm compensating with that over here. But basically, that's what you see. The grease is starting to come out this side. It's nice and flush on this side. So this bearing, in my opinion, is now well packed. And we're going to go ahead, pop our seals back in place. Alright, so before we get crucified in the comment section, I'm going to address something right now. So I mentioned you should wear a glove when you're packing a bearing, and yes, that is the best thing to do for one main reason, and that's to prevent any kind of foreign object or any dirt or debris that you might have had on your hand to enter the bearing. I didn't wear one, and yes, I did say my hands were dirty, but if you noticed, I did happen to wipe my hands with a fairly clean rag. I know this looks dirty, but it's actually stained this way. It's actually gone through the wash a few times, so there is no debris in that bearing. It is simply just adding grease, so please don't crucify me. I am human. I should have went over and got a glove, but I didn't. But trust me, these are better off now than they were before. All right, I got you. Let's clean out this grease here and we'll repack it again. Let's make sure we have no foreign objects, no debris in here. I just don't want you guys to get mad at me in the comment section. And this is probably the right way of doing it. I don't know if my hands were super clean. All right, let's try this again. Fresh gloves, freshly cleaned bearing, nothing in here. Oh, and I should note, guys, I didn't blow these out, but some guys will like to clean a bearing with a compressed air. Nothing wrong with it. Just be aware that you shouldn't let the bearing spin at high speed when you're doing it with compressed air, because it will seize up on you or it will completely ruin the bearing. Anyways, we've done this before, so I'm just going to repack these bearings, put the seals back in place, and once they're repacked, we will we'll carry on and we'll assemble it onto the front of the bike. In an effort to try and make my life easier and not have to bang away on these bearings with some hammers, I made myself a tool. So all it is just simply a threaded rod, and I'm gonna hopefully be able to draw these bearings in by simply turning the nut. So let's give it a try. First bearing goes in the back. And we're gonna don't forget the spacer, because that's gonna help a lot. Kind of transfers the load between the two. We're going to set that in just like that. Next bearing, and we're going to call this a tool. Hopefully this is going to work. So the washer is just large enough to catch the outside race. You want to try and squeeze or bang it in on the outside race. You want to avoid putting any excessive pressure on the inside race, because that's where you're going to get the damage before the bearing even has a chance. I could have made these threads a little bit shorter, but I figured if I'm going to make one, may as well make it kind of universal for the next job that I might have to do this with. Well, let's see how it works. Always line up the washers as close as we can here. Alright, well this is actually working pretty good. It's going in by hand, at least so far. Well, that's about it. Let's get the wrenches on there. Like butter. Look at this. Oh no, I spoke too soon. See that it's going in a little bit sideways. I wonder if I'll be able to correct that. Oh no. Okay, hold on. Don't panic. We can just lightly we'll correct it. Alright, hey, we got that. That's good. There she goes. What did we ever do before ratcheting wrenches? I mean, I can't imagine myself sitting there and going, I mean, oh my lord. I guess mechanics were more patient back then. Okay, so the front's in, but we've got the same issue in the back here where it kind of needs a little bit of help. So, let's do exactly that. Aha. You can actually hear it. You can hear it change sounds. Well, this tool is definitely going to make its way into my toolbox. Now we can place the whole braking assembly back into, oh wait, whoa, almost forgot to put the axle through. Let's clean off some of this dirt here. I'm really getting ahead of myself because as I'm doing this, I'm remembering I better put the seal in the back, because if I don't, I'm going to have to take it apart again. I don't like doing things twice. I really don't. It's one of my pet peeves. And speaking of seals, so the kit comes with 3 different seals. And if you look at them closely, this one's got no lip, this one's got like a medium lip, this one's got a taller lip. So I'm going to use, more than likely, the taller lip on the inside, because it's probably going to run in here nice and smooth. And I always like to grease my the seals so that they have some kind of a chance against getting any kind of water or wearing themselves out. Okay, we got our little greased lightning seal, and we're going to push that in place. Should be able to get this in by hand. Just going to use your stainless steel thumbs. Oh yeah, just like that. Perfect. Now, up next we get our axle, followed by the lower ball joint and the upper ball joint. Woo! Okay, we're getting somewhere. I'm not sure if you guys are out there listening to this, if you're a mechanic at all, but you ever notice sometimes you'll end up with certain repairs that are kind of recurrent throughout the week as a theme? Well, I don't know about you, but this week, for me, it's been stripped hardware. I've had to use my tap and die set pretty much every day. I don't know what it is. I don't know, is there anything, like, comment down below if there's something you guys have noticed. You know, sometimes it's a dead battery every day. That's usually during the winter time. Well, I don't know about you guys, but that's a little bit odd. I got this bolt all the way tight. And check this out. So, not sure what's going on here with this lower ball joint, but that is as tight as it goes. And, come on now, don't make me a liar. Ah, there it is. It wants to just pop out. Well, that's not good. I think what's happened over time here is that you can see here the material from probably being squeezed onto the ball joint for so many years. It's probably stretched, so it's not the perfect solution. I don't know if I would really recommend it, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to put my hacksaw through here, and I'm just going to kind of open up that slice, and hopefully that's going to give me a little bit more squeeze onto the ball joint. That wasn't difficult at all. Actually, it took about a minute and a half, and as you can see now we've got a little bit more space in between here. So let's see how it fits now. Okay guys, I finally got it. I had to take another slice out of it with my zip cutter, and I tightened the heck out of this bolt with an impact, and now she's good. I guess I just couldn't squeeze this material enough by hand. I may not have had to have done it with the, that's a lot of hats. Maybe I didn't have to do it with the zip cut, but I did it anyways. But I probably just wasn't strong enough to squeeze that by hand, is my guess. So anyways, we're good now. Let's carry on. Let's tighten up our upper ball joint now. And hopefully this one's gonna go smoothly. Before we go too far, let's put in some new cotter pins. All right, here's some new cotter pins. Don't reuse cotter pins. Don't be cheapskate. Go buy some cotter pins. They're not expensive. And then you'll know that you're all nice and safe. It ain't gonna fall out on you. And make sure you run the right size too. Like this one here is, as you can tell, it's a little bit on the tight side, but I would rather have a cotter pin that's a little bit hard to pull in or pull out than have one that's all wobbly and just wears itself to nothing. It's now time for the other seal, and I'm going to use the medium lip seal, I think, for this one. And then with your stainless steel thumbs, you just push it in. Just like the other one. Okay, yes, kind of figured. So that little bearing sleeve in between the two bearings, if that's off by a little bit, it's going to give you a bit of a challenge to get this all lined up. You may have to persuade it with, I don't know, a knockometer. So I'm going to use a low noise knockometer here, see if it wants to go in. Just like that. All the way seated. And now we're going to let the axle nut do the rest of the work and draw the axle back out. We have plenty of thread to do that. It's a 22. Okay. You just want the axle to be tight. That's all you're looking for. And then, using our low noise knockometer, and if yours is really, really, really long like this, don't sweat it. You just have to bend it. And then cut the end off. I think that's going to be good right there. Right there. We're going to put the wheel on. Excellent. All right, moment of truth. It's back on the ground. We got a new wheel bearing kit on this side. If you guys weren't part of this previous video, I also did the front and back U-joints on the front drive shaft. That was causing some pretty wicked noise there. So what did it sound like before? Well, listen to this. I mean, other than the tires making the noise, you guys hear that snap, crackle, and pop? It's almost like we got some Rice Krispies stuck in here somewhere. And then, of course, we're going to see what it sounds like now. Well, cross your fingers because you can, well, I am, because I hope it made a big difference. Let's check it out. Beautiful. No noise. I don't know if you heard, well, lack of hearing anything. There's only dirt underneath the tires. That's all I hear. That's awesome. That was a lot of work, but it was well worth it. So guys, again, thank you very much for watching the video. Hope you stuck around to the end. If you did, that's super cool. Thanks for doing that. I know some of these videos are a little bit long, but I try and give you guys a little bit of step-by-step instructions. And I try not to edit out too much of the content because, I mean, if somebody's out there trying to do this work, it might be helpful to somebody. So anyways, again, thanks for watching, And I hope to catch all of you in the next video.